Shalom, shalom, family. Welcome once again to the Torah review, and I'm joined once again by Nasik, Zurishaddai ben Yehudah, who will be going over the portion in the book of Shemot called Waeyra. We thank the Most High God. I thank the Creator of heaven and earth for all things and everything. Food, clothing, and shelter, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And I pray to the Creator that He continue to be with us and to protect us. Giving glory to the Most High King of the universe for all things and everything. Hallelujah. And I say an early Shabbat Shalom to everyone out there. Pray that everyone has had had a great week. And I pray that the Creator of heaven and earth, His blessings will continue to pour down upon all His people, Yisrael, scattered in the four corners of the earth. At this time, I bring forth the teacher of these lessons, who's going to just highlight some points that might have been missed. I bring forth my teacher, even Nasik, Zurishaddai ben Yehudah. Shalom, Nasik, how are you?
Okay, great. First of all, let's give praise to the Supreme Universe, my forefathers, and due respect to the congregation of D.C.B leadership, Chief Prince Yehudah, and also the host of this show, Chief Yisrael, and Shalom Aleichem. Early Shabbat Shalom. First of all, I'd like to say I deny Dr. B.R.D. Out there, got the Lord down my lips. My mouth should declare thy praise. I'm here to share some insight into what the Sidra, Waeyra. Before that, I like to always go back a little bit into the beginning of the Waeyra, which is Shemot. On the book of Shemot, which is Exodus, the book of Exodus, for those that might not be familiar with the terms we use. I'm trying to be more conscious of using a more English terms in a lot of areas there, because some people might, we might have a variety of people listening to this here segment, and I don't want to confuse them, with a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna try to be as plain as possible in my approach, and yet I'm gonna try to be as much informative as I can. So last time we left off with the opening of the book of Exodus, and Exodus comes with the Greek terminology, which means the departure. And boy, the departure was supposed to be from the land of Egypt for the children of Israel. But as we look further into to that, we know that you had the names of the people that went down to Egypt. That's a continuation from Genesis, but centuries later. And then you read about a liberator. You read about the hardship of a pharaoh that raised up and then started to enslave the people. So as they came in as VIPs, they would, in a short time, were reduced to slavery. Have a person of the oppression that was slave, which was Moshe, who didn't grow up as a slave, but grew up, pretty high living, as you would say, a little bit royal. Being those mothers put him in a basket and set him near the bank of BINAH. It's always a saying. It used to be a joke, a little joke concerning Moses' mother, and saying that I'll just share this with you now because I neglected to share it last time. Is that his mother was a great investor, and being a great investor, she put Moses on the bank of the river and got a great dividend of interest, since she got paid to raise her own son when he draw it out of the water of the river. So if we all can make investments like that, that'd be good. But here it is that we read in the beginning of our saga that most of the saving grace comes from not just the Creator, but women's taking a leading role. You read about the midwives who refused to have their children killed by the orders of Pharaoh, which is the first time, like I said, that you had a people going against a governmental rule, because they realized that there's a higher standard than man's standard, that they feared the Creator. And so they're the first in history to actually rebel against a governmental that was a capital, that would be a capital crime. And it was said that it was, you know, less for at the end. Then we know that Moses' mother also, you know, preserved him and kept him as long as she could. And so that's part of the salvation in that area. And then Miriam, his sister, was able to get Moses' mother to feed him, because Pharaoh's daughter pulled him out of the basket, and Moses was nursed by his own mother. So he rose up knowing who his people was. And you know, he developed, we know he got married in Midian. Now, I left some questions, some open-ended questions last week, but before I go into that, I'd like to go just back a little bit in the 4th chapter. And we're going to just pick it up from the 20th verse.
The 20th verse?
Yeah, 4th chapter, 20th verse. From last week, but the portion before it is what I'm going to today.
We're in the book of Exodus chapter 4 verse 20. And Moses took his wife and his sons and set them upon an ass, and he returned to the land of Egypt, and Moses took the rod of God in his hand. And Yehudah said unto Moses, when thou goest back into Egypt, see that thou do before Pharaoh all the wonders which I have put in thy hand, but I will harden his heart, and he will not let the people go.
Okay, now I just want to stop there one moment, because I didn't emphasize that as much. It's always a question, how could the Creator hold a man accountable if the man don't have liberty to make a free will, have free will? And free will is so important in our way of life, so important for us to understand that if we had no free will, the Creator could not bless us, neither, would he have to be moved to curse us, because he'll control our actions. So now saying that Pharaoh's heart will be hardened, what do that mean? You read in the whole course of the whole plagues that's getting ready to come down later on, that Pharaoh's heart was hardened, it said hardening of Pharaoh's heart was 19 times, and 10 times Pharaoh did it, 9 times it said the Creator had something to do with it. But so he going to a job that's already saying that it's gonna be a failure the first approach. But Pharaoh himself hardened his heart, so some people will think, well, the Creator would be unjust to go ahead on and cause all this drama on Pharaoh if he couldn't give in. He got me stuck in a situation where I can't give in. I want to give up, but what you find out that Pharaoh, as we read it carefully, on his heart first, the Creator keeps you true to what you really trying to really what's in you, and you're gonna find out also he had other people that comes along and help him along with this attitude. Because remember, it was an Egyptian policy as well, not just Pharaoh's policy. So it's not only Pharaoh's heart being hard, but it's the people of the land themselves that had that same attitude. If we look closely, which I'm not going to go back over, is that Pharaoh charged all his people and his servants. The servants, if you was as Egyptian slave, or a Hittite slave, or a Canaanite, a Jebusite slave in Egypt, while we was down there at that same time, your status was better than ours. because they children was not under the death penalty. Whether you're a Hittite, a Girgashite, none of their children was under that death penalty. So hence, as a slave, even in Egypt, they was held in a higher status than the children of Israel. And that's something to consider. That, and it's also something to reflect on today. About our diaspora today, so to speak. That as a people that's supported, since we've been here, you know, we had a rough time, and most of us, we know last week, basically just recently, we talked about Martin Luther King celebration, and what was hard, and then when you read the Exodus, you think about the so-called black man in America side, and when you look at it closely, it was a lot easier for the children of Israel to leave Egypt, cross the Yam-Suf, than it was for some black people in this country here to even cross the street and go into a store. So that's something to even consider. You know, as we went through this particular time, that we made some progress, yes, in the land, you know, that we brought over here as captives. But just to think about when we read about the Exodus now, that it was far easier for the children of Israel to cross the Yam-Suf than it is for black people at one time in this country to cross the street. To be safe. And so we all should identify in some fashion or form with oppression. And we all should have a certain type of empathy with oppression. But now, that being said, let me back up into this here chapter here. Continue.
Verse 22. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith Yehudah, Israel is my son, my firstborn. And I have said unto thee, let my son go that he may serve me. And thou hast refused to let him go. Behold, I will slay thy son, thy firstborn.
Okay, let's stop right there. I just want to clear up, because I asked questions and people, mentioned about firstborns earlier. All right. So I figure I'll take this time and speak on this a moment. All right. In this particular verse here, all right, it would imply that there's other children here, which is exactly what it is. There's other children on earth. There's other sons of God that's in the earth. When you talk about Israel's the firstborn, we know Israel's the last nation. The first one to call Israel a nation was Pharaoh. When they say and then Yisrael, which means a nation of the children of Israel. When in the beginning, when he started to plot against us, when he started to worry about us. So, but I want to focus on what firstborn just a little bit. Because some people just figure some people, only certain people is God's children and not his sons. We are chosen and endowed with a responsibility as Israelites. But everyone on the planet is God's children. Everyone on the planet is God's son. Hence, from Bereshit, you say here, B'nai Elohim, the sons of God. So if you're talking about the sons of God from way back in Genesis, as long as you had Noah, and then you had those three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, you had some sons that belong to the Creator. And just that when it gets to this particular point in junction, there was a certain people entrusted with a unique responsibility. And hence, that's what we refer to as a firstborn. Now let's go into our law about a firstborn too. That you can have a firstborn son and not have no other children. So I just want to clear that myth up sometime, because some people think when you say I got a firstborn, that means I actually have other children all the time. If you have one wife and she has this child, and this child that opened the womb happened to be a son, then that is a firstborn son. But the woman determines whether he's a Pidyan Habane, which is the one that opens up the record, open up the record. We open up the womb. Excuse me. And when we look in Exodus later on in 13th chapter, it gives a little bit more clarity. We look in Numbers later on, get certain clarity. You look at Leviticus, you have this point that I'm trying to bring right now, is that according to our law, when a woman have a child, a son, not only will he be circumcised on the 8th day, but if it happened to be that firstborn son, the one that opened up the womb, the first child, a period, that at 30 days old, he is redeemed. And for 5 shekels of silver. So now, if he's redeemed at 30 days old, she's not even supposed to be next to dealing with her husband, and if she had a son, until she's 41 days. The child's 41 days from that time. So hence, you will have only one son, and that will be your firstborn. Now, you can have 2 women. One had a daughter that opened up the womb. And then your next child happened to be, a son. He may be your eldest son, which we today call, sometimes say, this is my firstborn son. He may be your eldest son, but he's not a firstborn according to the dictates of the Torah. Now, if you had 2 wives, one wife had the daughter, the other one had a son. And the one that had the son, that's her first child. That is a firstborn son that must be redeemed. So hence, a man may have more than one firstborn son, depends on how many wives he had. Like my father Yaakov. My father Yaakov had 4 firstborn sons born, but yet he had one son that was his firstborn. So the woman determines which one belongs to the Creator in that sense. Not the man. He could say, this is my eldest son. And I'm saying, I wanted to make it very clear according to Torah. But in this instance here, Israel himself is, the Creator says, my firstborn because of his status and ranking, but not that he's the first to open the makers in that sense. It's almost like when Yaakov crossed his hands over with Joseph's children. When Joseph's 2 children, Manasseh and Ephraim. Manasseh was actually the first one born through Joseph's wife. And when Joseph, as we read, those that read YP, when Yaakov gave the blessings, he crossed his hands over, and he gave the same wording, same blessings, just that the hands was crossed, the right hand was on Ephraim, and the left hand was on Manasseh. Usually, but firstborn son also supposed to get a double portion. Though the blessing went to Ephraim, and the blessing was in the single, which I pointed out when I discussed the particular chapter, that Manasseh did have a double portion because his territory was on both sides of the Jordan. It was on the side with Reuben and Gad, and it was on the side that was crossed over. So a firstborn usually has more claim to property. Not that he's going to be the best and the most unique, but more, he got first claim to property. But what the Creator declared as a firstborn that must be redeemed and was a true firstborn, we got to go according to what the Torah describes as it, and maybe not Webster or, how we feel. So now, just go a little bit further. I left some questions open in this particular portion too as well. And I just want to end up with that before I go into the Sidra for Waeyra.
Verse 24.
Yes.
And it came to pass on the day at the lodging place that Yehudah met him and sought to kill him.
Okay.
Then Zipporah took a...
No, I'm going to stop right there. I'll deal with this before a moment.
Yeah.
All right. When it said to kill him, like I said last time, we don't know who to him going to be killed. We don't have an idea. According to the text, according to the literal meaning of the text, and Then the next verse says, then Zipporah took a flint and
cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at his feet, and she said,
all right there. We can identify Zipporah. We can identify her actions. But we can't identify the son, and we cannot identify who put that foreskin was dropped at. We could go on further, and it says what?
It says, so surely a bridegroom of blood thou art to me. So he let him alone.
All right, hold on. All right, a bridegroom of blood thou art to me. We know what a bride is, a groom is, but the Hebrew word is katan dam, dam, but that's an unusual term. That's nowhere else used in Scripture. We're not sure what that is. What do she mean by that? We know at this point she had 2 children, and those 2 children that she had, she didn't just get married after the second one to Moshe. So it goes on to say the last, finish that last.
Verse 26, so he let him alone, then he said, a bridegroom of blood in regard of the circumcision.
Okay. So he let him alone. Which one did the Creator leave alone? And when the Creator ever sought to slay somebody? So I left that open now. I'm going to tell you how I teach it, and I'm telling you straight off the top. I can't prove. And I'm admitting it like that because you're going to run across things like that in the Torah that you cannot prove according to the text. For those that like take a literal reading. And that's why I had Chief Uzziel give a literal reading of the text. Because we could use logical deduction, but we can't say our logical deduction is true in that sense. What is true is that Zipporah did circumcise somebody. That is true. What is true is that she threw something down somebody's feet. That is true. What is clear, the Lord sought to kill somebody but didn't succeed in doing it. That is true. What I used to teach, what I used to teach is that was Moses, and that was his youngest son that had to be circumcised. And I don't want to even go into the midrash how she figured that out. That the circumcision would be the remedy for that. All right. So, and I bring that out to say I like people to when I say sometimes any mistakes might be my own, and as well as you might want to go over it or take a mental note. I never tell people bring a notebook and pads because I don't know who I'm talking to out there, and that might be listening, and your knowledge, most likely might supersede mine by leaps and bounds. So I won't just tell you. I might tell you make a mental note, because when I say make a mental note, that means that that might be something interesting to go over again. I might say review it again. No teacher could ever tell you everything they know on a particular pursuit or verse. So therefore, it behooves everyone not always just take the teacher alone on face value, but investigate and study and try to understand the truth for yourself. And that's what I'm saying. So that's why I really focus on that part and ended the portion last week on that part, that everybody has to go forward. Because a lot of times we get bored with reading stuff over and over again, but it's a lot of things that we would take for granted, or some things that we was taught and we just blindly accept. But and when you blindly accept some things, you see what's not there because you believe that's what's there. It's almost like a hypnosis. You believe it's, hey, I know I read that somewhere. That was Moses getting ready to be killed. I know I read that somewhere. That was his youngest son. And I read somewhere, that the Creator, decided to leave Moses alone. So you got to find who was to kill, who's going to be killed, and who will need to be saved. And then who feet? Because, you know, you throw it that, because it seemed to me, if the child being circumcised, it should drop right at his foot. And then who takes the skin from a circumcision and tosses it at somebody's feet like it's, you know, just body? I mean, that kind of concept. So I'm gonna move on from there, and we're going to this particular week's thing. So I won't have to be so long. Which starts at the 6th chapter, the second verse. You know what he means?
We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 6, verse 2.
Before we go ahead, I'm just gonna bring out the whole entirety of something that goes on in the book, because I know I ain't gonna get to it.
Okay.
Speaking.
You want me to read?
No, not yet.
Okay.
And God, this particular portion, Waeyra, you know what I mean? When the Creator said He appeared, and the talking about appeared to Abraham, that God tells Moses to go before Pharaoh and ask him to let the Israelites leave Egypt. That's number one. Number two, Moses responds that Pharaoh will not listen, and apologetically explains that because he has a speech impediment, he is not the right person to represent the Israelite people. Another thing, God says Aaron will accompany him as a spokesperson. And then you read further, Aaron and Moses appears before Pharaoh to request freedom of the Israelites. Pharaoh refuses, and 7 of the 10 plagues mentioned in this particular portion are set upon Egypt. And Pharaoh remains stubborn and will not let the Israelites go. All right. So that's what pretty much this whole Sidra going to cover. So I won't cover all that in the Sidra. So I'm going to really stop around the 3rd plague in this particular portion.
Okay.
So, and the plagues, you know, one of the things I like to speak on about the plagues, you know, it's a strange word it uses, you know, makot. And makot, a maka is a beating, a hit. And you say, well, why hit somebody to teach them a lesson? You know, they usually try to talk to them, you try to explain certain things to them. But now you're going to go ahead on, you know what I mean, and beat them down to be taught a lesson. And then why 10? If the lesson was to be taught, you seem like you should be able to teach them the first time to give them the right beat down. You know, and then when we look at it even further, you know, about the plagues and stuff that hits the people, everything has, you know, we know later on, you know, every plague, you know, symbolically was represent the different deities of Egypt. But I'm going to start a little bit here, because like I said, I'm going to stop at the 3rd plague, after the 3rd plague in this book. All right, so you can begin now, Chief.
We're in the book of Exodus chapter 6, verse 2. And God spoke unto Moses and said unto him, I am Yehudah, and I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob as God Almighty. But by my name Yehudah YAH, I made me not known to them. Right. And I have also established my covenant with them, to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their sojournings, wherein they sojourn.
Okay, hold right there. All right. Now, first of all, some people get a misconception, and the more so, Bible critics would say that Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov never knew the Creator's name. And even when Moshe at the beginning asked for a name, he just said, I will be. You know, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob told him that's who I am. The same God that these guys knew through a different revelation. None of them had the exact same revelation. And so I will be what you need me to be. At the time, it need to be. You know? So you look for a name to try to understand me. And you can never understand completely the Creator. Even to say you're supposed to know God, you know God, you know God, you would never know Him like you might know somebody else in the neighborhood, and you only briefly know them because sometimes we discover things about ourselves. So how much more if we discover certain skills and virtues within ourselves that we had dormant that we didn't know that was in us until it was brought forth. So now we're gonna go further and say,
verse 5, and moreover, I have heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am Yehovah, and I'll bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I'll deliver you from their bondage, and I'll redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. And I will take you to me for a people, and I'll be to you a God.
We're going to have a couple of things on second. But before we go there, I had discussions too when I had left that last question about the circumcision. When the poor circumcised his son, and the Creator left him alone. I also brought out that circumcision itself, I believe, if I recall correctly from last week, that you could be too early, but you could never be too late as long as you're alive. And there's no sin if you're not circumcised. But you won't get no credit for it. It's not no kind of accolades for not being circumcised. If you sin, if you ate, say, if it was a holy convocation of the Pesach, and somebody ate the Pesach lamb, if you had the priest and stuff in order, then that'd be a strict violation. Then you need to be circumcised. So now, it's always say, well, what's the covenant? And I'll just take this time to explain that you have various covenants. And I spoke about a new covenant last week, but I don't like to go off topic with that. Is that when you talk about the circumcision, that's in relationship not only to the seed of Abraham, but in reference to the land. That's the covenant of the land. And men inherit land. And since men inherit the land, if there's no male around, and the guy died, and a father died, and he only have daughters, then the daughters inherit, but she got to marry within the tribe. So, but if you say at Mount Sinai, when the Creator spoke with all the 3.something million people on Mount Sinai, then how could it be that men, the wives, the children, the stranger, the hewers of wood, and all them be part of that covenant that God made with them that day? And he's talking law. So that means that women are in a covenant as well as men when it comes to Torah, when it comes to the laws of God. The hewer of wood, the law, anybody could be part of that covenant of God, no matter what's his nationality, no matter where he's from, no matter what their sex. The circumcision, though, is part of the land, and that's what they call, later on they talk about Marasha. Marasha is a heritage. A heritage belongs to you, whether you're good or bad, deserve it or not. If it's your heritage, then it's your heritage. And it was dealing with the land. And I like to emphasize that when it talks about the circumcision stuff, as opposed to a covenant that women are in and everybody else is in. All right, so now it's right here, it's focused on the land, bringing them back to the covenant that Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and that was the blessing that Yitzchak, Isaac had to give Jacob when he was getting ready to leave to go to Syria. He said, I got one blessing. Even if you stole the other blessing, I got this blessing here that you must get. That's in reference to the land. All right, now, in the 7th verse,
Verse 7 reads, and I'll take you to me for a people, and I'll be to you a God, and ye shall be to verse 7, and I'll take you to me for a people, and I'll be to you a God, and ye shall know that I am Yehovah your God, who brought you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will bring you in unto the land concerning which I lifted up my hand to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And I'll give it for you a heritage. I am Yehudah.
Okay, that's what it said, the heritage, right there. Now, it's several things that it gave. I've been trying to learn some the Hebrew words, and well, 4 terms of this part is this redemption. All right, and one is Hosea, I'll bring you out, bring you forth. All right, then Regalti is from the word redemption. I redeem you, and with Hasalti, and I was saved, rescue. All right, and then Lakwati, that's what it says. That means that I would take you to myself. So in other words, it's conditions. We're not just going free to do nothing. And that's the thing about liberation from Egypt. When the Creator sent us, have us come out of Egypt. We're not, just coming out of Egypt and be left alone to do nothing. We're coming out of Egypt, going to a place. But the thing is that, rescue us from, by my burdens and stuff like that. But we're gonna still be slaves because we know when we got the Sinai that says, and I am the Lord that God brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Therefore you should serve. So we left from one house of servitude, from one burden of servitude, to serve the Creator. Unless you have a purpose in life, freedom is not only not free, but it's worthless. You're free to do what? We, especially being black in America, can understand that. When they say you're free, and the master says, well, I can no longer, have you here, I can, you're free to go. Where am I gonna go? What am I gonna do? I don't even know where I'm at, other than here. I've been no further than the field and back. And G-Ward, he might have been to the next farm, as far as he went, and back. So, freedom, always got to, and true freedom is a responsibility, that you got to have something to do and a goal to go to. And the Creator could have just said, I'm going to set you free, I'm going to bring you into the land, or I'm just going to, just save you from your burden so you could be stay right there. But he said, I would take you unto me. All right. Now, but to bring them to under them directly, take them up from the virgin, bring them unto himself. That, sometimes they say it was like 5 terminologies that you see in Exodus, but the 5th one supposed to be in the latter days, because we still got to get back to, where we belong. So I just want to focus on that, and people might want to go over it again so they could get a little bit more insight, more than I'm speaking on at this particular time. All right, so we're going to go on just a little bit. We're going to skip over. We go to the 10th. Let's go to the 10th just a little bit.
Verse 10?
Yes.
Verse 10. And Yehudah spoke unto Moses, saying, Go in, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, that he let the children of Israel go out of his land. And Moses spoke before Yehudah, saying, Behold, the children of Israel have not hearkened unto me. How then shall Pharaoh hear me, who am of uncircumcised lips?
All right. Well, first of all, Moses himself said, they ain't going to listen to me. And then he used his handicap, an uncircumcised lip, around, that, how could, who's failed to listen? But one of the things I find so strange throughout this whole saga is that how did Moshe go up into the palace with no tribute, no army, and demand to destroy an individual's economy and walk out. Coming up in there is a phenomenon in itself to be able to come up into before Pharaoh with no invitation, no gifts, no entourage, and then say, I want to destroy your economy in so many words, because the workers had to go. And with a threat, if you don't let them go, your children will be dead. So that is a bold move. Not only is threatening, it would be considered treason, and he's a king. And that was in them days. Only the Creator could give you that kind of invitation to have you walk in and nobody lay hands on you. Because you could be in a crowd in the street today, and a guy walk up to you on the corner and start jumping in your face. And if you got your friends with you, they're going to say, hey, let's jump on this dude, man. You don't know who you're talking to. And you didn't say a word. They just said because they respect you.
Mm-hmm.
So can you imagine what Moses had did to go in and come back? He didn't say that I was afraid of Pharaoh. He didn't say they threatened to get me, but yet you know, when they threatened to kill him, he left town. 40 years ago, he left town when they threatened to kill him. But now, he just saying, I must not have the right words. Remind you, let's go a little bit more.
Verse 13, and Yehudah spoke unto Moses and unto Aaron, and gave them a charge unto the children of Israel, and unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, to bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. These are the heads of their fathers.
Those, anybody, they read it last week. I'm just highlighting some points. So, now we're going to skip on down to the
verse 25?
Yeah, 28. Let's go 28.
28 verse. It reads, and it came to pass on the day when Yehudah spoke unto Moses in the land of Egypt, that Yehudah spoke unto Moses, saying, I am Yehudah, speak thou unto Pharaoh king of Egypt all that I speak unto thee. Right. And Moses said before Yehudah, behold, I am of uncircumcised lips, and how shall Pharaoh hearken unto me? Chapter 7. Verse 1, hallelujah. And Yehudah said unto Moses, see, I have set thee in God's stead to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet.
All right, Dad, I want to stop right there. What we call Moshe the prophet? The first time we see an Israelite being called a prophet was his brother Al-Haron. The only other time we find about a prophet is Abraham Avinu, Abraham, our father. He was told Abimelech that he's a prophet. But this is the first time we find that term is used for an Israelite. And now a prophet is not all the time one that foretells the future. A prophet is actually a Nabi, means to be bringing stuff, so he's bringing words. He's a speaker. That's what a prophet's first job is, a speaker. Speak on the behalf of somebody. So him, when Aaron is being called a spokesman and a prophet, that, and it says right then and there that Moses now, and I like to just bring this out just a little bit, because we got a lot of people that might be Bible centers, the original man, the angel, black man, all that kind of stuff that they say that, it says, I have set thee in God's stead to Pharaoh. All right. In other words, Pharaoh think he a God. And he got people to run show and do things for him. The Creator said, look here, I'm going to put you on that same level. He going to think you have that same status he got. And therefore, Aaron could do the talking. Because it's going to seem like he got that same status. Not that Pharaoh gonna worship Moses, because he don't respect the true and living God. But he gonna recognize that you have that same exact status as he has. It's like we say, intelligence recognize intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So he would recognize Moses like, all right, you really somebody to deal with. All right, so let's go just a little bit more.
Verse 2. Thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh, that he let the children of Israel go out of his land.
Okay, that's important to remember in the future, that Aaron did most of the talking. He had the gift. We used to say in the old days, he had the gift of gab. All right, continue.
And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
But Pharaoh will not hearken unto you. And I'll lay my hand upon Egypt, and bring forth my host, my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments.
Mm-hmm.
And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yehovah, when I stretch forth my hand upon Egypt, and bring out the children of Israel from among them.
Okay, and say great judgments. It's a lot of things. Signs, wonders. You know what I mean? Great judgment, terror. A lot of people that follow what they consider a Passover Haggadah. It's very interesting for those that want to study about the Passover and about the plagues and about the time that we was in Egypt. Because right now, when we come into the book of Exodus and we talk about our liberation from Egypt, this is the first time that any people, you read about Spartacus, in the slave rebellion. But this is, and we read about Sodom, Gomorrah, Amnon, Zebor, and Zor rebelling against the 4 kings in a year. But they were independent already. They just didn't want to pay no more tribute and everything like that. So, okay, we ain't going to be subjugated to that. Paying you anybody. But this is the first time you actually have slaves talking about, we're going to rebel and leave out. And what's more interesting, we're not even going to bust a grape. We ain't going to bust a grape. We ain't going to throw one stone. So this is the first time, they talk about there ever was a liberation of a people. Nowhere else in history that you read prior to this, that there's actual liberation. Abraham went the rest of his life, but the people stayed with, who they were. But, so it's not like being liberated. They was captives and stuff like that. So they was taken from one individual to the next and back home. That's it. But actual liberation of a people that's actually been really subjugated. It's nothing like that in Tanakh. All right, continue.
Verse 6. And Moses and Aaron did so as Jehovah commanded them, so did they. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old, when they spoke unto Pharaoh.
Okay, right in there. Most people looking to be retired. I know. When I hit that 62, I said, well, it's time for me to go. I ain't gonna get any more money the annual bonus, it ain't gonna get increased anymore. I'm not gonna get no more raises until a new contract come up, which is another 3 years. I said, well, let me go sit on back and try to live healthy and long, that free time. So most people don't look to go get a job. Abraham got his first job at 75, real job. Real mission. You read that, Moses getting his real mission at 80 and Aaron at 83. You say, wow. And the oldest guy we're going to read that dies later on within the portion, it dies at 137. So that's not even true. That's not even, that ain't too many years from there. But a lot more than we have these days. All right, so it's down to 8th verse.
Verse 8. And Yehovah spoke unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, When Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, Show a wonder for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, Take thy rod and cast it down before Pharaoh, that it may become a serpent. And Moses and Aaron went in unto Pharaoh, and they did so, as Yehovah had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh, and before his servants, and it became a serpent.
All right. So Pharaoh said, well, so now you know about that God steed. Well, I see something about you this time. But let me see what you can do. let me see what you got under your command. So that's the God steed. He said, look, now I'm going to give you some kind of respect now. I want to see if you got any real power, real truth. So now, we find out that it wasn't Moses that cast it down, but Aaron cast it down this time, as we read in the book. And the rod, and it became a serpent. And what goes on there? 11.
Verse 11. Then Pharaoh also called for the wise men and the sorcerers, and they also, the magicians of Egypt, did in like manner with their secret arts. For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents, but Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods.
Oh, right there. You know, it's interesting, and I always point this out when we always talk about it, most of the brothers, and I just find it interesting myself, is that one thing, it's not surprising that the rod of Moshe is able to turn to a serpent that he passed to Aaron. But in this particular episode, it's called a tanit, which is, serpent, and it's usually, like, in the words used, the preposition is let. So a serpent-like, similar to a serpent, where when Moses cast it down before the people to prove that he was sent, or when he was before the elders, and when it was cast down the first time by Moshe himself, it was called a nakash, a real, genuine serpent. We're not sure what that word that's used there in the scriptures. So, so did we just say serpent-like because it's not really sure, it's not a foreign word that's usually unique here, in that sense. And what's interesting is that I said earlier, what's the difference between a magician and Aaron? Is that the magicians, they think they already figure they're smarter than the people they go to entertain. So when they do their thing, it's to amaze the people, but not to amaze themselves. They looking condescending of their audience. Where Aharon, he casting it down, he's astonished that the Creator allowed him that kind of power to be able to do that. So not only the people are amazed, but when you're working with the power of the Creator, you are amazed of what you can do. So that's the difference. And what further is that it said Aaron's rod ate their rod. And you notice it never used the word, tanit or nakash. It said a rod ate up their rods. So hence the word serpent-like, looking like a rod, whatever it is, whatever they was able to do. We have these days people pay for entertainment called illusionists, and they're paid to be mesmerized and fooled. So here it is that we find that Aaron's rod ate up their rod, saying that it really would give up. It's always debatable, but you could say their rod was actually a rod all the time, where Aaron's rod had exercised not only life, but conquering force. Though he was outnumbered, he was not weighed. And sometimes we might be outnumbered, but if we weighed the balance, we are not outweighed because of our integrity and because of who will be on our side. So we'll go on from there. And what says about Pharaoh after that?
Verse 13, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them, as Yahuwah had spoken. And Yahuwah said unto them,
and it said create a heart in his heart there. Just says heart. Because you figure they could do this. All right, now we're going to skip on down to the 19th.
Verse 19, and Yahuwah said unto Moses, say unto Aaron, take thy rod, and stretch out thy hand over the waters of Egypt, over their rivers, over their streams, over their pools, over all their ponds of water, that they may become blood. And there shall be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone. And Moses and Aaron did so, as Jehovah commanded, and he lifted up the rod and smote the waters that were in the river, in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants, and all the waters that were in the river were turned to blood, and the fish that were in the river died, and the river became foul, and the Egyptians could not drink water from the river, and the blood was throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians of Egypt did in like manner with their secret arts, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them as Jehovah had spoken.
Stop right there, stop right there. Okay. All right. And he didn't even pay no attention after that. But the thing is, if you got a catastrophe, drama happening, why would you want your boys to increase the drama? And you would say, look here, hey, turn that thing around. Straighten this mess out. I'm coming down here to take a bath and, bless the word, it's a gift for the Nile and everything like that. And not only they turn the Nile to blood, but they killing all the fish too. And they're going to cause this thing. You have some water element, normally they have a broad teaching, symbolic teaching about the elements that's used throughout the plagues. But I'm just going to speak on just two of them. And that water is usually cool, and blood is usually warm. So water could turn from, like I say, from a liquid to a vapor to a solid. But so when it gets too warm, it becomes a vapor. When it gets too cool, it becomes a solid. But it's cooler than blood. And at this time, that you say, well, where did the magicians get blood? Water. They do that same thing. They do that, and they try to imitate that same kind of skill. And it talks about throughout the whole land of Egypt was they turned the blood. Those that was in the rivers, ponds and stuff like that, and the wooden vessels, and it describes it. They have a saying that if you had water in a metal thing, that's why some people water in a metal jar, a pitcher jar, that in reference to this element back here, that's what the Egyptians had water already stored in metal containers. And some said they just dug along the side of the river underwater stream. So you could take either one of those ideas, that he dug along the side of an underwater stream, because it describes where the blood was turned to, where people could see it regularly. So that's one thing. And he didn't lay it to heart. He was just said, well, my boys can do the same thing. But yet the river's still messed up. And it's not like you're going to turn back in one day. So these plagues I like to bring out right now, that when they started hitting these plagues, these strikes, that most times they stay a week. And we're going to find out, later on, it stays about a week. And they give them a good little break in between. And all this, the 10 plagues didn't happen like one a day, then next week the next one, the next week the next one. They gave them some time in between. So when we look at the procedure and the time element, you have anywhere about roughly 9 months to a year when all 10 plagues hit in the land of Egypt. That's just for people that might want to go back and research and take their time, which I'm not going to be able to do in this particular set down. All right, so let's go to the next plague.
Verse 23. And Pharaoh turned and went into his house.
Let's go into the 8th verse. 26.
8 chapter.
26.
Verse 26.
Yeah, 7:26.
7:26.
Yeah.
And Yehovah spoke unto Moses, Go in unto Pharaoh and say unto him, Thus saith Yehovah, let my people go that they may serve me. And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all thy borders with frogs. And the river shall swarm with frogs, which shall go up and come into thy house, and into thy bedchamber, and upon thy bed, and into thy house of thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy ovens, and into thy kneading troughs. And the frogs shall come up both upon thee, and upon thy people, and upon all thy servants.
All right, I'll just stop there for a minute. We're going to the 8th verse. Now, when we get to the next plague, it's going to be plague of frogs. Down here in Florida, when it rains, now the river is a good ways down the block, way down the block. I have frogs in the pool. They get in the pool. They can't get out. They drown there. Either a bird come, one of them crows or something come out and grab them up. And you got frogs that be on the window. You know what I'm saying? How in the world they get up on the window? You know, and there's nothing but grass. There's just grass out there, and it be cinder blocks, and they crawl up there and stick up on the window. Just stick right there on the window. And then what's really ironic is that I got an SRX Cadillac that's like a crossover hatchback. I go to the car wash. I ride in the street. I had some stuff in the back. I opened up the door. I said, it looked like a slug there. But it was a frog in the binding that was still alive as you throw the hatchback down. You know, the truck, it was like a hatchback. You know, you pull it down. He's in that groove area, not crushed. Same time for us. How it is. And one day I was driving along, and the frog crawled up on the windshield. And I said, where are these boys coming from? And there ain't nothing out here. No pond and nothing around. So, and that amazed me just being down here in Florida area, when I know I'll be a long ways from the river and stuff like that. And but imagine a plague of frogs coming into the neutral, the ovens, and everything like that. All right. And frogs are usually cold-blooded. And yet they're going to go into a warm situation, the ovens. Let's read just a little bit about the frogs, and we're going to finish up with that.
And it reads, and we're chapter 8, verse 1. And Yehudah said unto Moses, say unto Aaron, stretch forth thy hand with thy rod over the rivers, over the canals, and over the pools, and cause frogs to come up upon the land of Egypt. And Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt. And the magicians did in like manner with their secret arts, and brought up frogs upon the land of Egypt.
There you go, increasing the same problem. Need to get rid of them, not increase the problem.
Right.
Why call them when you need to get rid of them?
Right.
But the idea is that they figure they could do it, they should be able to stop it. But they do stuff and they ain't stopping anything.
Right.
And it goes on to say, continue what it says.
Verse 4. Then Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, entreat Yehudah, that he take away the frogs from me, from my people, and I will let the people go, that they may sacrifice unto Yehudah. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, have thou this glory over me? Against what time shall I entreat for thee, for thy servants, and for thy people, that the frogs be destroyed from thee and thy houses, and remain in the river only? And he said, against tomorrow. And he said, be it according to thy word, that thou mayest know that there is none like unto Yehudah our God.
I just want to stop there just for a moment. All right. What? If I got a problem, I need it solved yesterday. I don't need the problem solved tomorrow. You know? If this thing is bothering me down, you ask me, and you got the, and I believe you got the power to straighten this mess out. Straighten it out yesterday, not tomorrow. And yesterday is too late. That's just an expression, meaning straighten out immediately, if not sooner. So, but he said tomorrow. So he'd rather sleep with the frogs overnight to see if they go away on their own than to say, I want it done immediately. All right. Now, one thing is that I want people to take note of is that, you know, and bear this in mind, from this particular statement here, every plague after this is done away the next day. Not on the same day. The next day, overnight. They suffer a day behind it, just for this statement. But it's a little bit more I want to share in this statement. All right, continue.
Verse 7. And the frogs shall depart from thee, and from thy houses, and from thy servants, and from thy people. They shall remain in the river only. And Moses and Aaron went out from Pharaoh. Moses cried unto Yehudah concerning the frogs, which he had brought upon Pharaoh.
Okay, right there. I just want to stop there a minute. We're going to skip on down to the 12th verse. All right. All right. One of the things he said, well, why Moses cried out? He didn't cry out about the blood, in the river of the blood. He cried out here. He allowed Pharaoh. That's some of the comments he would say. He allowed Pharaoh to dictate the time. Right. And Moses said, glory over me. You tell me when you want this done. I'm not, so I'm giving you superiority over me. When the Creator automatically said, you'll be a God's deed to Pharaoh. So now how you going, if the Creator promote you to a certain level, how you going to promote somebody over you when the Creator promoted you on a certain level? And give you that, and give him that kind of authority and glory. So, hence, this is the first time he said he cried out unto the Lord. Because he could just really just say, he had enough. But it makes an emphasis there. That means that in the Hebrew it gives it a little bit more impact. So it's like a strong shout, and begging, because he allowed Pharaoh to exercise authority over him in this matter. All right. And one of the things that about the frogs, it was a border dispute. They say something historically, and then just some of the comments. I just shared this in passing. And it was a border dispute between the land of Ethiopia and the land of Cush, as they say some folks, and Egypt, about border disputes. But when the frogs came up and went throughout the whole borders of Egypt, then it was no dispute what territory belonged to Egypt, what territory belonged to Ethiopia, because they didn't cross the line. They stayed right there like they had a wall there. And so that's how you know it was the power of the Creator. We're going to skip down to the 12th verse. We're going to finish this last clip.
Verse 12. And Yehudah said unto Moses, say unto Aaron, stretch out thy rod and smite the dust of the earth, that it may become gnats throughout all the land of Egypt. And they did so. And Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod, and smote the dust of the earth, and there were gnats upon man, and upon beasts. All the dust of the earth became gnats throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their secret arts to bring forth gnats, but they could not. And there were gnats upon man and upon beasts. Then the magicians said unto Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them, as Yehudah had spoken.
He didn't even want to hear what they had to say from that point on. Because that's the finger of God. Now, what's interesting is that some books might translate this as lice. So I just want to bring it out just in case people might have a different reading. Instead of saying gnats, it might say lice. But now it told Aaron to strike the dust. So now, who come out of dust? Mankind. Life came out of the dust. All right. The Creator told the earth to bring forth, but the dust was man-made. So here it is that you're talking about bringing forth life. Only the Creator has the ability and the authority to bring forth life from death, life from nothing. So therefore, the magicians realized that if they tried it, they said, look, this is the finger of God. Say, we can't do this, and we know some stuff. We got some skills. We've been around, and say it's just his finger. So this is a small matter what the Creator do, not a great matter. This is a small matter, and yet they had lights all in them. Pharaoh had lights all in them, and at this particular time, even the children of Israel was affected with the first 3 plagues. So the 3 plagues that we just read right here was affected not only the Pharaoh, the Egyptians, but also affected the whole nation of Israel. It's only from the 4th plague onward that there's a separation. And also I'd like to leave with this here, is that we can learn some things from the plagues. But one of the things I'd like to just bring in closing is that the 1st plague, the 4th plague, the 7th plague, it describes the Creator in a unique term. when it comes to the fourth plague, the first plague, the fourth plague, and the seventh plague. So those of you get a chance to go back over it, read the line why the plague will be employed in the first place again, and then you'll come up with different terms and reference to the Creator making himself known unto Pharaoh. And also, the pattern of the plagues. You warn for 2, first and second, third hit you, bam. They warn you on the 4th, 5th, the 6th one hit you, bam. Warn you on the 7th and 8th, 9th one hit you, bam. And then you warn them on the 10th plague. That's a fact. Something to remember and something to look forward to in the weeks to come. The study and try to reflect. So I hope everybody got something out of what I said tonight, and any mistakes when I've been my own, and any questions, I prefer them to be according to the Sidra that I expounded upon, or something that I said in passing. And just to address one brother, I'm not sure, he had a long Hebrew letter telling me about the census and telling me about, I had a friend of mine because I wasn't clear on some of it. 20% of it, I wasn't sure what was this point was. So I had a good friend of mine, Ori Kiskiyahu, who that's more his forte. And he has some abbreviations in there as well. And but I looked at it and I noticed when he was talking about about the census, about being numbered, and they used the element about Dawi. Even though I even understand, I didn't understand your point, what you was trying to say, other than that we shouldn't be even to be in a census, it shouldn't be counted. And men have been counting the children of Israel, and when you count men of war is one thing. Yaakov's household was counted. And also the thing is, when it comes to the children of Israel, when you number the children of Israel, Dawi was numbering how many men for war in his kingdom. That's what that was the violation of that, how many men of war he was over, being a warrior. So I'm not sure from the long letter that I read, and then I have a good friend of mine, an older brother, Ovid, who's Hebrew's a little bit more astute than myself, and we pretty much came to the same consensus. And so if it's something concerning the Sidra I spoke on, then I welcome your questions. If it's something that I need to correct, then Baruch Hashem, the Creator bless you, because I don't want to be strong and wrong. I want to make sure that I'm disseminating proper instructions or information to the people that's out there. And that's why I always say, any mistakes are my own, and if it's been helpful, then all the credit goes to the Creator. With that, I say early Shabbat Shalom, and thanks to brothers of D.C.B. continue to support this station. And Shalom Aleichem as well.
Shalom Lekah, Torah about Nasik. Hallelujah.